I never thought I would be one of those people posting a story like this on Reddit. Honestly, I used to scroll through r/true off my chest or r/surviving infidelity late at night, shaking my head thinking, God, I can't imagine what that feels like. But here I am, living it, and writing because I don't know what else to do with all of these emotions. I've been with my husband, let's call him Adam, for 11 years, married for 7. We met in our mid-20s at a New Year's Eve party, which is why the holiday has always been special for us. It wasn't just a date on the calendar, it was the night that started our story. Every year after that, we'd celebrate in some meaningful way, just the two of us at home with champagne, or sometimes at a friend's gathering, or even once in Times Square, freezing but happy. It became our thing. Every December, we'd talk about our plans, what we'd do, who we'd see, how we'd make it special. For me, New Year's Eve wasn't just about fireworks or resolutions. It was about us, marking another year we'd survived together, another chapter added to our marriage. This year, or I guess I should say last year because technically it's January now, was supposed to be no different. We'd been invited to a big house party hosted by our mutual friends, Eric and Melissa. They had rented a cabin outside the city, something cozy but big enough to fit about 15-20 people. The plan was simple: eat, drink, watch the countdown on TV, and toast the new year at midnight surrounded by laughter and people we cared about. At first, I was excited. Work had been exhausting, and the idea of celebrating with friends sounded like exactly what I needed. But as December crept closer, I started noticing little things with Adam. He was distracted. That's the best word I can use. Normally, Adam was the kind of husband who liked to include me in everything. He'd tell me about his day in too much detail, ask my opinion on what to wear, joke around about dumb memes. But lately, he was distant. He'd come home from work and immediately go to the spare room with his phone. He started working late more often. And when I asked what he was working on, he'd mumble something about year-end reports. One night, I walked into the living room and caught him quickly locking his phone. When I asked who he was talking to, he smiled too quickly and said, "Just Eric, we're planning the New Year's thing." I wanted to believe him. After all, Eric was his close friend too, but something about the way he avoided eye contact gnawed at me. Then came the changes in our intimacy. Adam had always been affectionate, the type to kiss my forehead when he walked past me or hold my hand when we watched TV. But in December, he became cold, distant, almost like being near me was inconvenient. When I pointed it out, he brushed me off with a laugh. "You're imagining things. Work's just draining me." I tried to accept that. The holidays are stressful. People get tired. But in my gut, something felt off. Christmas came and went, we spent it with his family, and everything seemed normal enough. He bought me a necklace I had hinted at months earlier, which almost convinced me I was paranoid. Almost. Because even when he gave it to me, his eyes looked elsewhere, like he was thinking about someone else. Still, I buried the feeling. I told myself I was being insecure, that I was projecting, that Adam loved me, and I needed to trust him. By the time New Year's Eve rolled around, I was determined to make the night magical. I wore a dress he once told me was his favorite, did my hair the way he liked, and put on the red lipstick he always said looked dangerously good. I wanted him to look at me the way he used to, like I was his world. When we got to the cabin, it was buzzing with energy. People were laughing, drinking, music was playing. Melissa greeted us at the door with champagne flutes. Eric hugged Adam like a brother, and everything felt alive. For a little while, I let myself relax. I thought maybe the distance was just stress, and being around our friends would remind him of who we were. But then, I noticed her. Her name was Natalie. She was one of Melissa's co-workers, invited because she had nowhere else to go for New Year's. I'd never met her before. She was younger than us, maybe late 20s, tall, with long dark hair, and one of those infectious laughs that makes everyone turn their head. And Adam noticed her too. I saw it almost immediately. The way his eyes lingered a second too long when Melissa introduced us. The way he smiled a little wider than usual. Natalie seemed friendly at first, not flirty, but then, as the night wore on, they kept ending up near each other, sitting on the same couch during games, standing in the kitchen making drinks together. I tried to ignore it. Told myself, "You're imagining things. Stop being paranoid. It's New Year's. Don't ruin it with jealousy." But the pit in my stomach wouldn't go away. At one point, I walked into the living room and saw Adam leaning in close to whisper something to Natalie. She laughed, her hand brushing his arm. When he noticed me, he jolted upright like a kid caught doing something wrong. My heart sunk. Still, I stayed quiet. I didn't want to be that wife, the one who accuses her husband of cheating just because he talked to another woman. It was a party. People mingle. That's what I told myself over and over, even though every instinct in me screamed otherwise. By 11:30, the tension inside me was unbearable. I watched Adam pour Natalie another drink, watched the way their heads tilted closer when they spoke, watched how his smile looked more genuine with her than it had with me in months. I kept thinking, it's just drinks. It's nothing. Don't make a scene. Just get to midnight, kiss your husband, and prove to yourself that you're overthinking this. But deep down, I knew. Something was coming. Something that would turn this New Year's Eve, the holiday that once symbolized the beginning of our love, into the night that ended everything. The clock was inching closer to midnight, and the atmosphere in the cabin was electric. Laughter, music, champagne fizzing in flutes, the smell of food and pine mixing in the air. It was the kind of moment you're supposed to look back on with fondness, a golden memory. But not for me. I couldn't focus on anything except Adam and Natalie. I tried. I played Cards Against Humanity with some of the group, took selfies with Melissa, even helped Eric in the kitchen. But every time I glanced across the room, there they were. He leaned toward her when she spoke. She touched his arm when she laughed. They shared glances that were too long, like private conversations without words. And every time Adam noticed me looking, he straightened up, created a bit of space, as if that erased the seconds of intimacy I'd just witnessed. By 11:45, my chest felt like it was in a vice. I stepped outside to get some air, the winter chill biting into my skin. I told myself, just survive tonight. Get through midnight. You'll talk later, when you're calm. Don't ruin New Year's for everyone else. I stood under the clear sky, watching my breath turn to mist, and tried to remember happier New Year's Eves. The first one, when Adam kissed me as snow fell around us. The year we moved into our house and toasted with cheap Prosecco because we couldn't afford anything else. The year he surprised me with plane tickets to Paris as fireworks went off on TV. How did we go from that to this? I went back inside at 11:55. The countdown was starting. People gathered in the living room, glasses raised. Melissa dimmed the lights, the TV blaring the numbers as the ball dropped in Times Square. Everyone's faces were glowing with anticipation. I scanned the room for Adam and froze. He wasn't with the group. Neither was Natalie. My stomach plummeted. I tried to brush it off. Maybe they went to get more drinks. Maybe they're in the bathroom. Stop panicking. But my legs moved on their own. I slipped away from the group, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The countdown on TV roared behind me. 10, 9, 8. I walked down the hall. The kitchen was empty. Bathroom, empty. A door to one of the guest bedrooms was slightly ajar, a warm glow spilling out. Something inside me already knew. My hands shook as I pushed the door open, and there they were. Adam and Natalie. Her back against the dresser, his lips on hers, his hands tangled in her hair, their champagne glasses abandoned on the nightstand. My world stopped. For a split second, I couldn't breathe. My brain refused to process what my eyes were seeing. This wasn't some random stranger. This wasn't just anyone. This was my husband, the man I married, the man who promised to love me forever. And he was kissing another woman on the holiday that meant everything to us. Behind me, the countdown hit 3, 2, 1, and the room erupted in cheers. Fireworks went off outside. And while the rest of the world celebrated new beginnings, I stood there watching my marriage end. Adam's eyes shot open when he finally noticed me. His face went pale, his lips still wet from hers. Natalie gasped, covering her mouth with her hand, stumbling away from him. "My name?" Adam started, but his voice cracked. I couldn't speak. My throat was burning. My heart felt like it was being ripped out of my chest. I backed out of the room, shaking my head, tears blurring my vision. "Wait, please, it's not," he stammered, stepping toward me. I spun around and bolted, past the living room, where people were hugging and kissing, oblivious, past Melissa, who tried to hand me another glass of champagne, out the door, into the freezing night. The cold hit me like a slap, but it wasn't enough to numb the pain. My entire body was shaking, my breath ragged. I could still hear the faint sound of cheering from inside, muffled by the walls, as if to mock me. Adam followed me out a few seconds later, calling my name. "Please, just let me explain." "Explain what?" I snapped, my voice breaking. "That you disappeared at midnight to kiss another woman on New Year's Eve? Do you have any idea what this night means to me, to us?" He reached for me, but I stepped back. "It wasn't like that. Don't you dare say that," I hissed, tears streaming down my face. "I saw you. I saw everything." Natalie had come to the doorway, her face red with embarrassment. She tried to speak, but I cut her off. "Don't. Just don't." I couldn't handle another second. I grabbed my coat and keys from the entryway, ignoring the confused stares of friends who were still celebrating. I walked out into the snow, leaving Adam shouting after me. The drive home was a blur. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly they hurt. My vision blurred with tears, headlights smearing into streaks of light. I don't even remember most of it, just the crushing silence in the car, broken only by my own sobs. When I finally got home, I collapsed on the couch, still in my dress and heels, mascara running down my cheeks. Outside, fireworks continued to explode, the sky lighting up with color. But inside, my world was nothing but darkness. That night, while everyone else toasted to love, joy, and new beginnings, I sat alone with the bitter truth: my marriage was over. And the cruelest part? It ended on the exact night it had begun. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there on the couch, staring at the ceiling, mascara smudged across my face, still in the stupid dress I'd worn to impress my husband. My phone buzzed nonstop. Calls, texts from Adam. At first I silenced it, then I threw it across the room. I couldn't bear to see his name. Around 3 a.m., there was a knock at the door. Slow, desperate. I didn't answer. I knew it was him. I sat there in silence, holding my breath like a kid hiding from monsters. After 10 minutes, he left. Another dozen texts came through after that. By the time the sun rose on January 1st, I felt like a different person. Numb. Empty. Like I had aged 10 years overnight. I finally showered, changed into sweatpants, and sat at the kitchen table with a cup of cold coffee I didn't drink. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Adam. "Please let me come over and talk. I made a huge mistake. I can explain." Explain. That word kept stabbing me in the chest. What explanation could possibly make what I saw okay? But part of me wanted answers. Needed them, even. So, against my better judgment, I texted back, "Come at noon. After that, don't bother." At 11:59, he knocked. I opened the door, arms crossed, not inviting him in. He looked like hell, eyes bloodshot, hair messy, still in the clothes from last night. He held out his hands like a man begging for mercy. "Please, just let me talk," he said. I stepped aside, but I didn't say a word. He sat on the couch, head in his hands. "I messed up. I got drunk. I wasn't thinking clearly. It didn't mean anything." "Stop!" My voice cracked, but I kept it sharp. "You didn't get drunk and trip into her mouth. You made a choice." He winced, but I wasn't done. "You knew what last night meant to me. You knew what New Year's Eve means to us, and you chose her anyway." He tried to reach for my hand. I pulled away. "I don't even know how it started," I said, my voice trembling. "Was it just last night, or has this been going on?" He hesitated too long. That hesitation was its own answer. I laughed bitterly. "God, how long?" "Couple months," he admitted, eyes wet. "But it wasn't serious. I didn't mean to hurt you." "Not serious?" My voice rose, finally breaking the dam of numbness. "You've been sneaking around with some woman for months, lying to my face, and you call that not serious? Do you have any idea what that does to a person?" Tears finally spilled down my face. "You didn't just cheat on me. You destroyed every memory tied to New Year's. You ruined the holiday that built our marriage. Every December for the rest of my life, I'm gonna think about this, about you and her. Do you understand that?" He buried his face in his hands. "I'm sorry. I'll do anything to fix this. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want. Please don't throw away what we have." I shook my head. "You already did." Silence filled the room, heavy, suffocating. Finally, I stood. "You need to leave. I'll be in touch when I figure out next steps. But for now, go." He begged a little longer, but eventually he left, shoulders slumped, like a man walking to his own funeral. The days that followed were a blur. I called my mom, sobbing. She came over with soup and soft words, like I was a child again. I told Melissa what happened, and she was horrified. Apparently, Natalie had left the party early too, claiming she wasn't feeling well. Adam kept trying, texts, emails, even flowers at my doorstep. I ignored them. For the first time in years, I thought about myself, not us. I got a lawyer. I filed for divorce. When Adam finally realized I wasn't bluffing, he broke down. He begged one last time, telling me he loved me, that Natalie didn't mean anything. But love doesn't look like secrecy. It doesn't look like sneaking into bedrooms at midnight while your wife waits in the living room. Love doesn't humiliate your partner on the one night of the year that's supposed to symbolize your bond. So, I told him no. It's been a couple of weeks now. My house is quiet. Lonely, yes, but also peaceful. I don't jump when my phone buzzes. I don't wonder if he's really working late. I don't feel that sick dread in my stomach when he locks his phone too quickly. The nights are hard. I cry a lot. I replay the scene in that bedroom over and over, like some cruel movie stuck on repeat. But every day, it hurts a little less. And here's the strange thing. I feel hopeful, because if I survived watching my marriage implode on New Year's Eve, if I survived starting a year with my heart shattered, then I know I can survive anything. And maybe, one day, I'll find someone who doesn't ruin holidays, who doesn't destroy trust, who doesn't take my love for granted. Until then, I'm learning to love myself again. If there's one thing I want to leave anyone reading this with, it's this. Don't ignore the red flags, not even during the holidays. Betrayal doesn't wait for a right time. And if your partner shows you who they are, believe them. Because sometimes the end of the year doesn't just close out 12 months, it closes out a whole chapter of your life. And as painful as that is, maybe it's the only way to start fresh.